Mostly Movies, where we mostly discuss movies mostly. I'm Dan Sear, your host, and today the setup's a little bit different. I'm actually in the kitchen getting some dinner ready, and I figured I'd catch up with you guys since it's been a minute since I posted a video. Just a quick recap of the summer. I won't keep you guys all day, and I'm pretty busy here. I'm cooking a ham tonight, so I got a lot going on. Muppets Mayhem, you see I'm wearing the shirt. Incredible. Probably going to be end up being my favorite show of the year. This show is amazing, as good as any of the old Muppet stuff. I would say, I liked it as much as the James Bobbin reboot from 2011, The Muppets, but I am starting to like this maybe even a little more than that. That's how great this show is. So much respect, so much reverence for the Muppets. It's incredible. The soundtrack is great. I've actually seen the show twice. Highly recommended. I love the new characters. I really like what they're doing with expanding on the band's mythology and where they all came from. Which, when you play with prequel stuff, you run the risk of it being really awkward. Even if your intentions are good, like Star Wars. The intentions are good, but I feel like this one really got a good beat on what a prequel should be. And where these characters come from is fascinating. And Dr. Teeth is a real doctor, and Sergeant Floyd Pepper is a real sergeant. And I just love how it all came together. It's a great show. Check it out. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was, I think, a great movie. Not quite as good as the first one, maybe a little better than the second one, but around that same range as part 2. Loved it. Great soundtrack. Very unusual soundtrack. They did some really interesting things this time with the soundtrack and the score, so it's worth checking out. Into the Spiderverse, or Across the Spiderverse, actually. Whoops. Well, who cares? We leave the mistakes in anyway. Across the Spiderverse is a great film. Fantastic. Better than the first one. It's 2.5 hours. It's pretty long. It ends in a cliffhanger, but you don't feel cheated. This film is like the Empire Strikes Back of superhero movies. It's a great sequel. Great movie. Check it out. Horns up for Into the Spiderverse, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Muppets Mayhem. I'm telling you, it's worth the cost of Disney Plus just for this show. It is amazing, and nobody's talking about it. It's one of the best Muppet projects since 2011, and nobody's saying anything about it. It's incredible. Check it out. The soundtrack. And in the 7th episode, Peter Jackson shows up. They actually have a reference to Meet the Feebles, which I could not believe they put that in a Muppet show. That means that the Feebles are now part of the MCU, the Muppet Cinematic Universe. And what else did I see? Oh, I did see The Flash. The way I describe The Flash is it's the wildest night of party you ever had, followed by the worst hangover you ever had. While you're going through it, it's pretty amazing. And Michael Keaton shows up. Michael Keaton steals the movie. He's worth the price of admission. He is incredible. And don't let anybody give him any crap about that little neckerchief thing, because I watched Batman Returns the other day, and sure enough, he's wearing that in Batman Returns. You people just don't all remember it because you ain't watching close enough. That's the problem. He is incredible in the movie, fits right back into the role. However, I didn't like what happened in Act 3. I didn't like, this is spoilers. So much spoilers. In Act 3, I did not like the idea that it's basically the end of the Keaton universe, that Zod shows up and is basically going to kill everyone and enslave humanity. I really didn't like that ending. It's like, what about Alexander Knox? Is he going to be the one to save us? Is he going to lead the resistance in humanity against Zod? What about Vicky Vale? What about the Catwoman? Are they going to overthrow Zod? I would like to have seen that. What I really would have liked to do is the Flash can't do it all alone. He can't do it all alone. Then Henry Cavill flies in as Superman, and he saves the day. He takes out Zod. He meets up with Batman. He shakes Batman's hand, and he says, "Oh, that's a grip, Batman," because Keaton is it, man. He is the best. He's great. It was so wonderful to see him. I did like a lot of the cameos and Easter eggs, but again, that third act of The Flash falls flat. So a shaky horns, I would say a sideways aloha horns for The Flash. It was fun. I enjoyed it while I was watching it. It's a lot like episode 9. Like, you watch it and you're like, oh, okay, it's good. Still have a few minutes left. The glaze, I don't want the glaze to burn. I'm cooking for my wife, so yeah, wife. But spoilers. It's going to be revealed at a later date. That's a little preview. But basically, the Flash is worth seeing. I thought it was fun. It doesn't deserve to bomb the way it's bombing, but I can understand why. And I think people are just frustrated with superheroes. You know what I think is the problem with your audiences today? It's not that your audiences are super smart, but I think they're starting to become a little too smart for their own good. These are mostly younger people, but people that grew up basically in an era where they're surrounded by comic book movies. I mean, we had to wait 7, 8, 10 years for our comic book movies sometimes. But this is a generation of kids that maybe they were, in grade school when Iron Man came out. So now all of a sudden they're used to it and they think that they're too smart for it, that they moved on. And I would say, just give it a chance. Just give the genre a chance. I mean, Marvel has been dropping the ball lately, but it isn't so much the fact that the problem is the comic books. The reason why Marvel's been dropping the ball lately is that they've been replacing good storytellers and good creators to just hire people in there to, diversify. But it has nothing to do with where a person's from. It has the problem is you need to have people that are good creators and good storytellers, good writers, good directors. Now, sometimes just because you have to make a diverse list of people making your movies and stuff like that doesn't mean they're the best person for the job. And to me, I want the best person for the job. If I go to a doctor and I need an operation and they tell me, well, we would have had this guy operate on you, but we wanted to be fair, so we had to let a certain number of everyone else have the job. And we're not going to give you the best surgeon. It's like, no. I don't care what the surgeon looks like, who he is, as long as he's the best man or woman for the job. This is the problem with storytelling. This is the biggest problem that Disney's having right now. That's why within 5 or 6 years, they lost everything. And it isn't just dollars and cents. They lost their soul. Everybody talks about money and the stock is low and all that, but it's their soul that they lost. Disney and a lot of these other companies. Warner Brothers is trying. They're giving it the good college try, but they got to try harder. They got to find a way to tell good comic book stories in a short space. Because it seems like when they tell these big, long stories that are 4 hours, it's great, but this is also a commercial form. You need to make everything within 2 to 2.5 hours. So they got to find a way to do that in a compelling manner. And that's the problem that Warner's is having at the moment. But I believe they'll turn it around. And I think Universal's been having a good year, and Paramount's been having a decent year, okay? I mean, I'm looking forward to Mission Impossible. I did like the last Scream movie. We'll see what's going to happen this year, There's definitely a lot coming this summer. I didn't cover Indiana Jones as a video because it doesn't come out till the end of the week. When I talk about Indiana Jones, I'm probably going to go through the whole series, and I'm going to talk to you about the problem, about what the real problem was with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which has nothing to do with Shia LaBeouf or any of these other surface issues. There's a problem to that film that the original trilogy had something that people don't ever pick up on in Indiana Jones, which is basically the element of spirituality that's in the Indiana Jones films. Judaism, Hinduism, Christianity. The point is, Indiana Jones is not a believer. He's not an agnostic or anything when you get to the first film. But by the end of the film, he understands that there are powers that are greater than us. And in the second film, he's not buying it. He's not believing it. But then he comes to a certain belief. And when you have the fourth one with aliens, you just can't... There's a spiritual hollowness to the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And that was the problem with that film, ultimately. And CGI monkeys. But we're going to talk about the fifth film when I get to see it. Very busy at the moment, so I don't know when. But this is Mostly Movies signing off.